When do storage tanks run empty?
Your parts of the world, like Australia, Philippines, Thailand, you are. But the question is when and where. I still say that with you, it's going to be, sometime in the month of May that you're going to end up with Europe hitting tank bottoms. And in the U.S., it's somewhere in that July 4th time period. If not sooner, by the way, the inventories number coming out of the U.S., the ones we got last night, the ones last week, I've never seen anything like that before. The analogy, I think, is like in that movie Jaws, when the mayor declares the beaches are open and you can see the fins swimming around there, and the fin are these inventory numbers. And I think that it's important to remember that these inventory numbers, let's define terms. A deficit versus a shortage. We have a deficit today, meaning that demand is above supply and we're drawing inventories. It's not a shortage yet. So to answer your question, you have the shortages in places like Asia, and it's not that bad yet because you're not completely at tank bottoms. But in places like Europe and the United States, you're in a deficit and you don't hit the shortages until you hit tank bottoms.
But so, Jeff, first of all, what fuels are going to run out first?
Distillate jet fuel, because the LPGs, those are the ones in which the Gulf was a big exporter of. Yeah. And then the other one is like diesel. Those crude oils that come out of the Middle East were very rich in diesel. And like inventories, even in the U.S., are 11% below the 5-year average on diesel as a starting point. So, watch jet fuel, watch diesel, watch the LPGs.
These are huge vulnerabilities for any economies. It could impact travel. It could impact, of course, how many airplanes fly. Yeah. Even if it were to stop today, does it go back to normal, or are we still going to have these shortages?
Oh, it's going to take a very long time to get back to normal. So let's just begin with, let's say we open tomorrow. You got to be really confident there's no mines in that main passageway. Before, then you got to get the insurance. The insurance guys have to be confident there's no mines, and then you got to get all the ships back in the right place. That's 3 months bare minimum. And then you got to restart the production that has been shut in, and how much of it's damaged, we don't know. I like to point out, when we shut all that production in during COVID, it took 2 years to get it back all online again. So we're talking about a very long, drawn-out process in terms of thinking about the recovery. So even if everything stopped today, and they say, resume production, you're talking 3+ months to even start to get even a resemblance of this stuff beginning to flow, and then we're going to find out what kind of damage was done.
So even if it were to stop now, there's going to be fuel shortages in certain
it's already
parts
baked
of the
in.
world.
It's baked in. Full stop. Because at this point, it's going to take so long to get all of this restarted that those inventories will continue to draw. And again, going back to how big, I just want to put some, I've only seen inventory changes this big once other time in my life during COVID. Because remember, I think as we were talking once before, this shock is the mirror image of COVID. So it is appropriate we're seeing these inventory draws on that level. Last week it was roughly a 25 million barrel inventory draw. And we're in the shoulder months. This is the weakest period all year long of economic activity, oil demand, and everything. So we have no stress on the system, and you're already seeing 25 million barrel builds. The APIs confirmed another 25 million barrel draw, that is. So what is it going to look like when we get to Memorial Day, July 4th?